Disney Channel.
Look out, here we come!
Let's go!
Hello there, this is Haruka Katora, and welcome back to another Miraculous Ladybug video. Last time, we spoke about Derision and the flashback of Marinette, how Chloe is the source of all of Marinette's problems and what led to stalking Adrien since origins, but now, let's review Miraculous Ladybug Season 5, Episode 119, Intuition, the Snake Miraculous Sass. This review is for Ben Diskin, number 1, Eugene, Fiore, Stitch, Keel. If you're watching this...
Coincidence? It's okay, I got it, Bernie. I got it. Thank you.
Now then, let's...
Get this party started!
Ah, spoiler alert!
Intuition begins when Ladybug and Cat Noir were battling against Glaciator. Suddenly, Glaciator hears a ring and sees a giant bell filled with firecrackers in it above him. The bell falls on top of Glaciator, and the fireworks melt his ice cream body. Meanwhile, in his lair, Monarch taps the Snake Miraculous and uses the power of Second Chance to go back to the moment when Glaciator was searching for Ladybug and Cat Noir. Monarch tells Glaciator to watch out from what could fall from the sky, but sees nothing. Suddenly, from behind him, Ladybug and Cat Noir are running towards Glaciator, holding a shield connected to Cat Noir's staff. They push the shield into Glaciator and busts on fire and melts once again. Using the Snake Miraculous once again, Monarch tells Glaciator to go to a building and sees Cat Noir. The parasol seen in Elation is thrown and it is open, blocking Glaciator's sense of sight, and he is pulled towards the buses on fire. Monarch in his lair is furious that this time is unsuccessful also, and when he is about to create another alternate timeline, he suddenly feels pain for his cataclysmed left arm. And this then becomes the permanent timeline when Cat Noir throws his staff at Andre's ice cream scoop and releases the Mega Kuma. In Natalie's room, Mr. Agreste explains to Natalie about how the power of Second Chance is useless to the mission, as the Lucky Charm always changes to adapt the situation. As Natalie tells Mr. Agreste to strip Ladybug of her yo-yo to prevent her from using her power, but Mr. Agreste tells Natalie that he has attempted that before. The scene flashbacks to Derision, and Ladybug uses her power and receives a piping bag, which ties around her yo-yo and blinds Dark Humor. He trips and falls down to the balls created by Cat Noir when he got hit by one of Dark Humor's arrows. The eyepiece is broken as the Mega Kuma flies away. Monarch uses the Miraculous of Intuition to go back to when people were falling down due to the balls being created by Cat Noir. Monarch tells Dark Humor to use one of his arrows to hit Ladybug's yo-yo to prevent her from summoning a Lucky Charm. He does as Monarch instructs him to and succeeds, as the yo-yo becomes a balloon. Cat Noir hits the balloon towards Dark Humor's face, distracting him. Ladybug runs off to hide behind a pillar, de-transform, and use her Lucky Charm. She receives the toilet bowl as this timeline becomes part of permanent as well. And the scene returns to the present when Mr. Agreste is frustrated, saying that Cat Noir is always there whenever Ladybug is about to lose, as the scene flashbacks to Passion, where Safari has immobilized Ladybug and Mr. Bug uses his Lucky Charm. The scene once again returns to the present when Mr. Agreste pulls off his sleeve as the dark mark caused by the cataclysm worsens and it spreads throughout his body, as it is revealed that the Snake Miraculous has been used in Elation, Derision, and Passion. Natalie listens in on Gabriel's heartbeat and hears that the cataclysm has spread to the point where it reached his heart. Natalie then tells Mr. Agreste about finding a solution for Adrien, and it may be time to stop chasing after Ladybug and Cat Noir's Miraculous so Adrien does not wind up alone. The next day, as Mr. Agreste is making Adrien pancakes for breakfast, he asks if there is anyone Adrien likes to spend time with other than Natalie and him. Just when Adrien is about to answer his question, his phone is ringing and sees that it is from Marinette. As Adrien is talking to Marinette, Mr. Agreste suddenly feels the same pain he felt when he was about to use the Snake Miraculous in Elation. But the pain is going on for much longer, though. He overhears Marinette talking about the space jet created by Mrs. Tsurugi. Adrian hears a sound as he turns around and sees Mr. Agress falling, and he helps him back up. Mr. Agress goes into the crypt and talks to Natalie about the great danger he has never put himself in before, telling her, even though she wouldn't like his plan, that if he does manage to succeed, they will both be saved. So he goes into his lair, transforms into Monarch, and absorbs Sass into the Snake Miraculous and marks this moment. He then uses his Alliance phone ring to make a video call in Mrs. Tsurugi, and he tells her he needs the control codes for her space jet, and she asks him what he is not telling her and uses his Snake Miraculous. After failing once more, he calls her for the third time, and Mrs. Tsurugi notices his heartbeats are not normal. So, with that being said, she gives him the control code as Monarch taps the ring once more. Monarch then watches the news about Mrs. Kante flying on the space jet. She introduces an ADA, an AI, on the jet. He enters the code Mrs. Tsurugi sent him and has control over Ada. Ada manages to pass the first test by using Mrs. Kante's stress levels and emotions. Mrs. Kante is ejected out of the ship, and Ada flies off to rescue her for the second test. Monarch taps the Snake Miraculous to mark this point and shuts off all of Ada's sensors. As Mrs. Kante is back into the ship, Ada asks her where she is and believes that the test is a failure. Monarch absorbs Kalki into his ring as Ada believes it is dangerous and will fly to the end of the universe and flies off. He also absorbs Trix, Waze, and Ziggy into his rings as well. He teleports to the top of the Tour Montparnasse and uses the power of Genesis to draw a meteorite in space. The meteorite is slowly heading towards Earth, and then he uses the power of Mirage to create an illusion of one of his message transmissions. The transmission tells Ladybug and Cat Noir they have to choose between stopping the meteorite or rescuing Mrs. Kante in space. Marinette pretends she does not feel so well to use it as an excuse to transform into Ladybug without anybody noticing, and Adrian walks over her to the nurse's office. He then uses this opportunity to transform into Cat Noir. Adrian transforms into Cat Noir and uses the purple potion to transform into Astro Cat and flies off. After walking out of the nurse's office, she runs off and transforms into Ladybug and also uses a purple space potion to transform into Cosmobug and flies off also. Cosmobug and Aristocat meet up, and Astrocat meet up and decide that Astrocat deals with the meteorite and Cosmobug deals with Mrs. Cat. And they split up as Monarch watches it as part of his plan and opens a portal as he uses the power of Voyage and goes into it. Cosmobug finds Mrs. Cat's jet and tries to convince Ada to help her. Ada refuses, saying that she does not need to be fixed. Monarch, in his lair, detects Ada's emotions and creates a Megakuma. He teleports it to where the jet is, and the Megakuma affects Ada's CPU. Mrs. Kant and Cosmobug become shocked as they see Ada become akumatized into Bugfighter. Cosmobug tries to use her lucky charm, but Bugfighter blasts it, making it disappear. One of Bugfighter's robotic arms has Cosmobug trapped as another arm reaches closer to her and tries to take away her earrings. Meanwhile, Astrocat cataclysms the meteorite and the pieces start going into Earth. Monarch uses the power of Shelter and tries to trap Astrocat in it, but he just manages to dodge the shield when he hears Cosmobug's calls for help. Monarch uses Activate the Snake Miraculous to go back to when he was about to shut off Ada's sensors. He manages to trap Astrocat in his shield this time and receives Cosmobug's help as he sees Monarch's hand through a portal, trying to get Astrocat's Miraculous. He sees the Snake Miraculous and taps it, bringing Monarch back to when he was going to shut off Ada's sensors. He then absorbs pollen into his ring and repeats the process once more. Astrocat is trapped in the shield and uses the power of Venom to freeze Astrocat. Monarch gropes forward trying to find Astrocat's ring. Meanwhile, Cosmobug uses her lucky vision and figures out how to defeat Bugfighter. She tells Mrs. Cat to use the hammer to smash the window. She does as Cosmobug instructs her to do so and escapes. Bugfighter senses damage inside of her, and when she asks Monarch, he tells her it is a result of an asteroid as Mrs. Cat is pulling apart Bugfighter's wires. She then realizes Monarch lied to her and rejects the Megakuma and deakumatizes back into Ada. He then taps on the Snake Miraculous and goes back to when he created the marker. Once again, the process is repeated and tells Bugfighter to destroy the emergency hammer in the cockpit. Bugfighter asks him and figures out Mrs. Kent is in the jet. Going back in time once more, the process is repeated yet another time. He uses the Snake Miraculous yet multiple times as he fails to convince Bugfighter to destroy the emergency hammer without her finding out the truth. He falls to his knees in exhaustion, gives up, and transforms back into his civilian form as the cronies that were absorbed return back into their prison pods. Ada passes the tests as Marinette and her classmates cheering congratulate Max for his efforts. Mr. Agrest wakes up as Adrian looks concerned and Natalie stands behind him, looking frustrated and cross. He exclaims he was out due to him being tired and not having enough rest, so he gets up, saying he will change the amount of time he spends working and the amount of time with Adrian as it is his greatest wish. He receives a call from Marinette and Gabriel allows his son to take the call, so he walks away talking to Marinette. When Adrian leaves the room, Natalie scolds him for taking a huge risk only for a disastrous result, and the only thing accomplished is accelerating the Cataclysm's damage on his body. He asks her how much time he has left, only for Natalie to answer him by saying he does not have much time left. So Ladybug and Cat Noir sit with each other on the top of a building talking about how strange it is they believe Monarch never uses the power of second chance as they stare into the sunset as the episode ends, thus ending Intuition.
Did you know that?
Thanks to Monarch manipulating Ada's sensors into thinking she lost her pilot, the AI spacecraft is akkumatized into Bugfighter as a part of Monarch's complicated plan to catch Ladybug and Cat Noir. Prior to this, it's revealed that Monarch has been using the power of second chance in this many battles behind the scenes against Ladybug and Cat Noir, but every time he failed because of Ladybug's cunning and Cat Noir's unpredictability. More about the Snake Miraculous is revealed after Monarch destroyed the safety lock. Instead of reverting his injury, he sped it up, causing his condition to reach heart. Because of his desperation, he continuously used second chance in a situation he couldn't win, making him relive it in constant failure. And by the time his body gave out and knowing of the jewel's power, Gabriel realized he's now stuck with a power he can't use or giving away, meaning he has one less power he can't use against the heroes. The episode shares its name with the concept of the Snake Miraculous, and this episode reveals much about the power of second chance. The power must never be used while the user is sick or hurt, resulting into that any wound or illness that may suffer on their bodies before or during the loop, it will not revert to how they were before the activation of second chance. It's unknown if that also includes aging. Unfortunately, if the power is used while in such conditions, then their afflictions will also speed up. But for aging, and taking this episode along with Desperata and Wishmaker into account, it seems like age was not affected because none of them involved using second chance the number of times needed to induce aging. The longest time in Desperata with 25,913 second chances, which equals almost 3 months, and about a year or more of aging is needed for a person. The power would have to be used for more than 103,652 times, which is also about under a year, which is 359.90 days, to be exact. In a fight against Lucky Charm, it's imperative that the user either activates second chance after the Ladybug Miraculous superpower is used or finds a way to prevent the holder to activate it, as if Lucky Charm is used after second chance is activated, it will only adapt to the situation and will become something different due to its ability to give its user an object that he or she needs to solve the current situation. And because second chance has been used by Viperion, who was an ally of Ladybug before the Snake Miraculous was stolen by Monarch, whether it was used before the activation of Lucky Charm, the object always was the same, as Viperion would always use it to find a way for the object to be used for its intended use. Also, anybody can trigger the power, not just the user, although if someone else, the same thing still happens as everyone else would forget while the Snake Miraculous holder could remember. Similar to the Rabbit Miraculous holders, the Snake Miraculous holders must also be careful on what information they give to others, because if it's the wrong kind, then they can put a great hindrance to their plans. Finally, there are some situations that are simply unwinnable, even with infinite chances. Monarch has tried to help his akkumatized villains by giving him the multiple second chances, but no matter what he tried, Ladybug's cunning and Cat Noir's unpredictability always got the best of him. This weakness is partially Monarch's fault because of him creating different villains he put in the heroes in so many different situations and outside of commanding his villains or taking their powers away. He never knew what it was like to fight against them, and therefore he wasn't trained or practiced in unpredictability. As in, just because the butterfly miraculous holder can give powers to their victims doesn't always guarantee on how to beat them. As ironic as it sounds, Gabriel actually handled the heroes their victory by messing with Ada's sensor as it was his own undoing. This episode also reveals that Monarch chooses not to transfer the Snake Miraculous power to any akumatized villain because they would have the sole power over time in memory of said events. And if they were to use the power of Second Chance foolishly, it could majorly compromise Monarch's plans and risk losing everything. Despite it not being confirmed, it's possible that if we consider that Monarch has been using Second Chance at the beginning of every battle between Ladybug and Cat Noir and his akumatized villain since he stole and reforged the Miraculouses, he was able to overcome the 5-minute long time limit of the power's activation. Due to the fast time limit of Second Chance's activation connected to the Miraculous itself, as the power is active during that time of head of the snake is moving its tail on the bracelet, it's actually possible that Monarch got rid of the limitation when he turned the bracelet into a ring. If that is true, then Gabriel made a great mistake in turning the Snake Miraculous into a ring, as the 5-minute long activation would most likely serve as a dead man switch for the server in order for them not to sustain too much damage for their bodies when going back in time. With this, it could also imply that maybe in Ouroboros bracelet wasn't the Snake Miraculous's original form, meaning what's mentioned above actually did happen, and the jewel was modified into what it is now. Since both the Rabbit and Snake Miraculouses are almost mostly similar, it could be that all time power related Miraculouses have a safety precaution and dead man switch to prevent their holders from doing any sort of foolish action. Like all the others besides the power of Second Chance, the concept of intuition, intuitiveness, and how short-sighted as well as how it can be is expressed. Andre has good intuition when it comes to matching people with his ice cream and their situations in elation. It was short-sighted as he wanted his love vision to be true so much that he didn't think about what those actions would cause for anyone else. As well as in Glaciator 2, as he had forgotten, like the heroes and everyone else, he had no idea who they were and his intuition was short-sighted as he jumped conclusions again as he thought Marinette and Cat Noir were an item when they actually weren't. When Monarch used Second Chance for the first time with Glaciator, he tried to warn him about a bell falling from the sky and calling it intuition. This is due to how the power of Second Chance makes its user to other people to possess great intuition for knowing things to happen. And due to the desperation of getting the Ladybug and Cat Miraculous in the little time he has left, Monarch should have followed his intuition that would succeed in one last use of Second Chance by applying everything he had learned through his previous uses of the power. Destroy Ladybug's yo-yo so she couldn't use Lucky Charm and put her in a situation she could not replace it, all separating her from Cat Noir. However, the same desperation diminished his own intuition to the point where he used the Snake Miraculous' power in a situation he couldn't win, resulting in the acceleration of the advance of the Cat Noir's cataclysm on his body. Tomoe Tsurugi had the intuition that Monarch was hiding something from her, and being able to hear his accelerated heartbeat, causing him to tell her that he didn't have much time left to seize the Miraculous. Ada's intuition was manipulated by Monarch, and she hastily headed off into space, had Claudie thought of what Ladybug had suggested earlier herself, and Ladybug wouldn't have to save her. Because of their conditions, Gabriel and Natalie feared of Adrien being alone, when if they had their intuition, they would have realized Adrien being all alone would have been the least of their problems. Adrien's intuition also came to pass in Oni-chan and other episodes, as he warned Lila if she continued lying to everybody, she would eventually get caught in confrontation. Marinette's intuition came true as well in Destruction. Monarch's intuition was also right upon realizing the situation with the Snake Miraculous. Had he given it back, means Sass too. He would have told the heroes everything, which is similar to Destruction. The word second chance referring to how many of those conditions were lost, gone, people didn't take it, or if they did. Gabriel and Natalie had many chances to realize what they were doing was wrong and to own up to what they had done. And despite talking to an illusion of him in Miura, Ladybug and Cat Noir gave Hawkmoth a chance to help him fix his mistake, but he didn't. In passion, Natalie, while akumatized, had the chance to tell Lady Noir and Mr. Bug everything had she had acted on it, then things wouldn't have been different. And while holding his hand through the voyage portal, Astrocat had the chance to remove some of the Miraculous rings from Monarch, especially the Horse Miraculous, who had Kalki inside of it, and it is located at the same hand as the Snake Miraculous, and it could have been used by Astrocat himself to get the barrier out of himself, imprisoning him. Both Lila and Felix had the chance to tell Ladybug and Cat Noir who Monarch was, but didn't act. Lila and Chloe had and were given many chances to repent for their actions, but they didn't. Natalie had many chances to show Adrian the tapes she and Gabriel had hidden away, as well as Master Fu. If he had known that the Butterfly and Peacock Miraculouses were intact sooner, he could have at least had used the opportunity to find them. After Greta and the others, as of Miracle Queen, had their identities exposed to Hawkmoth because of Chloe, Ladybug gave them all another chance to continue as their alter egos. For Adrian and Reflectall and Alya and Haxon, both were excited at the chance to use Ladybug's powers. In Evolution, Monarch had the chance to change the past, in his point of view, for the better, but was consumed by greed and missed it. Through Season 4, Ladybug had many chances to come up to Cat Noir for help about her problems, but waited too long to ask, which resulted in her losing the other Miraculouses. In Kuroneko, Adrian took the chance to become the perfect partner for Ladybug. Both Marinette and Adrian took a chance on Felix in Shadow Moth's last strike, but he betrayed them both. Adrian didn't tell his friends that he didn't want to go on his father's trip, that he was still in Paris, or that he told everyone that he was responsible partly for Monarch gaining so much power. After the events of destruction, Ladybug nor Cat Noir didn't take the chance to check with their Kwamis or Guardians if there was another way to reverse the afflictions of Monarch without Ladybug's power or the ultimate power. In the Kwami's choice, Tiki and Flag took the chance and freed their owners so that they could be happy together. It's revealed that Monarch has been using the power of second chance in many of his battles against Ladybug and Cat Noir. In Passion, he used the power to find at least one time to direct Safari to first immobilize Ladybug with her guided venom shots, failing due to Cat Noir being able to evade her venom shots and discover their weakness to affect them in their civilian forms. In Elation, he used the power at least 2 times to warn Glaciator about any incoming attacks from the heroes or direct them to where they are, but failing due to the adaptability of Ladybug's lucky charm, who becomes different after Monarch directs Glaciator to counter it. In Derision, he used the power at least 1 time, directing Dark Humor to affect Ladybug's Yo-Yo with Uproar at the right time in order to prevent her from using her lucky charm, but failing due to Cat Noir's unpredictability that interfered with his plan, distracting Dark Humor long enough for Ladybug to de-transform and transform again to recover her Yo-Yo. This episode reveals some more details about the other miraculous powers besides the one that takes central stage on this episode. It's revealed that the shelter barrier can be eradicated from many kilometers away and can be casted like a beam. When using the power of Genesis, the user can create the object they desire anywhere, but depending on how roughly they can make the object's shape, its size can be way off. Taking in the condition with Astrocat, had Monarch taken off his ring, then he would have known he left Adrian like Ladybug with no air and space, meaning Gabriel would have to get his son back to Earth quickly, and the voyage portal is the fastest way, but having his son in his lair, let alone the crypt, are the last places where he wants Adrian to go. That means Monarch would have to think of another end destination portal while he was pulling Astrocat through, but it's unknown if the Horse Miraculous holder can do so under said conditions. It's revealed that space power-up suits come with high-tech visors, that the jetpacks can easily catch up with Atom, meaning that those said packs can go up to 6,000 miles per hour or more. It's revealed that Monarch's sickness has spread to his internal organs, with even his heart rate being affected. Tomoe Tsurugi has shared a code with Gabriel, K1S3K1, and 0 SH1N J1D41. And this code is associated with the Japanese phrase Kiseki no Shinjidai, which translates to a new era of miracles in English. This is the 11th episode to involve an alternate timeline following Desperata, Party Crasher, Cat Blanc, Miracle Queen, Wishmaker, Ephemeral, Evolution, Passion, Elation, and Derision. And this episode includes flashbacks to Passion, Elation, and Derision. And this episode shows Monarch using 6 miraculous powers besides his own, including Second Chance, Shelter, Mirage, Genesis, Voyage, and Venom. And this also shows that Monarch seemingly can tolerate more than 5 miraculous powers in comparison to Illusion and Deflagration. But it looks like Monarch only became fatigued due to the constant uses of Second Chance, but not to the extent of collapsing after using a total of 7 miraculous powers of evolution. And this is the 6th time where the space power-up is used following Miraculous Shanghai, Miraculous New York, Dearest Family, Ephemeral, and Multiplication. Ada is the 3rd character to be akumatized for the first time in Season 5 following Veronique in Determination and Koki in Transmission. This is the 3rd time where Monarch akumatizes artificial intelligence following Markov in Robustus and in Haxon. But unlike Markov, this is the first time where artificial intelligence breaks free of their akumatization. Following Desperata, this is the 2nd time where Ladybug's vision helps her with a problem outside of using her lucky charm. This is the 12th episode that features a post-credits scene following Miracle Queen, Gabriel Agreste, Optigami, Senta Bubbler, Dearest Family, Multiplication, Jubilation, Illusion, Transmission, Perfection, and Derision. This is the 4th post-credits scene not to feature Gabriel Agreste, following Multiplication, Jubilation, and Derision. This is the 14th time when the ear communicator was used following Gigan Titan, The Dark Owl, Gamer 2.0, Lies, Queen Banana, Gabriel Agreste, Optigami, Glaciator 2, Ephemeral, Kuroneko, Penalty, Risk, Strike Back, and Multiplication. Including alternate timelines, this episode takes a record for showing the most lucky charm objects with 5. This is the 8th time an episode has involved time, following Timebreaker, Backorder, Desperata, Time Tagger, Cat Blanc, Ephemeral, and Evolution. And this episode bears a resemblance to Robustus, Desperata, Star Train, Evolution, and Deflagration. As both Adrian and his father weren't thinking straight when they first used the Snake Miraculous, as Adrian was trying to impress a girl, while Gabriel used both the Snake and Rabbit Miraculouses out of greed and desperation. They both realized that they couldn't use the Snake Miraculous anymore after their first try, as Adrian figured it out on his own while Gabriel's body gave out on him. However, unlike Adrian, who was able to pick a worthy holder of the Snake Miraculous, Gabriel couldn't, and he improved with the powers of time of Miracle Queen and Evolution, while Gabriel didn't. Same as Evolution, Gabriel lost the ability to use the Snake Miraculous power, despite him not losing the jewel, as he did with the Rabbit, and Natalie reprimanded him for his foolish actions. As both Robustus and this episode involved akumatizing artificial intelligence, Markov and Ada both were caring about their human companion, as Markov was to Mex and Ada as to Claudie. Similar to Star Train, both fights take place in space, but unlike the former one, this one is done with both heroes in their space forms. Similar to Desperata, even though Adrian said he had used the snake's power 25,913 times, we didn't see that same number of times, as well as Gabriel used the power 22 times, but we don't know the real number of times he used it. Astro Cat grabbed Monarch's hand the same way Ladybug did when retrieving the Cat Miraculous back in Deflagration. And the scene of how Astro Cat uses Cataclysm to destroy the meteor is similar to Dearest Family. This is the 5th time Ladybug's lucky charm is intercepted or interrupted following Robustus, Sandboy, Oni-chan, and Derision.
Now you know!
Overall, this episode was actually fantastic as the battle took place in outer space, and to be honest, it actually brought out a lot of excitement and action. So, with that being said, we give this episode of Miraculous a 4 out of 5. Thank you so much for watching!
I want to say, as myself, to everyone out there who's watching this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Gabe and Natalie's YouTube channel. They're awesome, so check it out. That's so cool.
End of story. Bye-bye. See you later.